Show me something. Hello and welcome back to the Show Me Something podcast. My name is Will.
I'm Trevor.
And I'm Jacob.
And this week I showed these dear gentlemen the 2017 album Who Told You to Think by the rapper Milo, also known as Scallops Hotel, also known as R.A.P. Ferreira. He is actually now exclusively known as R.A.P. Ferreira or R.A.P. Ferreira. That is his actual name. His initials are R.A.P. for Rory Allen Philip Ferreira. So anything from earlier this year onwards, you won't be able to find under Milo. He's retired the name. This and other wonderful albums are still under Milo, if you're looking for them on any streaming services. But for what it's worth, if you look up R.A.P. Ferreira, you won't find this. Cool. So he is a MC. I think he's my age. He's maybe a year younger than me. He's 28. Born in Chicago. He's moved around quite a bit throughout his life. He actually went to high school in Kenosha, Wisconsin. In the news this week, obviously justice for Jacob Blake. Rest in peace to the protesters that were killed. He then went to college somewhere in Wisconsin, moved out to L.A., joined a rap group called Hellfire Club, which is now defunct due to like internal bad politics, essentially, by the label owner. He's now fully independent. He runs a label called Ruby Yacht. He moved back to Biddeford, Maine. Don't really know where that is, but it's in Maine somewhere. Opened up a record shop called Soul Folks. And I believe most recently is now relocated to Tennessee, in the Nashville area, I think. Lives there with his wife and kid. And that's where he's at for now. So, yeah, 2017 album, 15 tracks. We don't have any housekeeping to take care of, do we, gentlemen?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it last time, right? Unless you got something, Trevor.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm pretty chill.
Oh, actually, we do. We're going to start playing D&D.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Not for the channel, probably, unless people express interest. But for now, yeah, I'm gonna run a D&D game for these guys and Abby and Marissa. So
yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're excited.
I'm very nervous.
I'm a bird
My first
rogue.
time running a game.
Well, it's our first time playing for real,
Yeah.
so you shouldn't be nervous at all because we have no context for whether it's good or not. We're just looking to have fun.
I'll be the best. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
that's
That'll
pretty
kick
much,
off
I guess.
hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty much everything, I guess, for housekeeping.
Yeah.
Cool. Maestro's doing well. He's got long nails right now, so I have lots of scratches all over my body. But
Oh, no.
other than that, he's great.
Good
You
boy.
gotta
He's
start
it's
trimming
cool.
them.
He's going to the vet on Friday, so we'll get his nails clipped along with his next round of kitten vaccinations.
Nice.
Anyway, all right, cool. Very long-winded intro. I apologize for that, but
It's all
what'd
good,
you guys
man.
think?
Jacob, you want to go first?
No, you're first, dude.
Damn it. Okay.
Because you're next. That's the order, Trevor.
I know. It was all right, honestly. I've said it before, and I think I am starting to get more appreciative of rap music, but I'm just not. It's not my thing. You know,
Yeah.
I think I liked the last rap album we did, Mad Villainy.
Villainy.
I think I liked that one a bit more.
Yeah.
There was some, this guy has a lot of references in his music,
Yeah.
of which I got a lot of them, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Some big pulls, actually, some deep pulls to where, even I had to look up some of them, and I was like, oh, I actually know that reference, but I would not have guessed that's what it was.
Yeah, the references are nice.
It was good,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it wasn't bad. I would not listen to this ever again on my own. I will say that.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all I got really. Until we start getting into individual songs, it was all right.
What are you giving it?
We're not doing that yet, are we?
What do you mean?
I thought.
Do we do that now?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we recorded.
He's jumbled up. He's jumbled
Hasn't
up
been
with
that
the
long.
Pod.
What do I give this? God, I don't even remember what I gave Mad Villainy, so I can't even.
It's all good,
It's like a
dude.
5 or 6.
Yeah,
I think
somewhere
so.
in
What are
there.
you feeling
Like
for this?
probably like a 5.5. I'm giving this probably like a 5.5. It was
Cool.
okay.
I just want to say that the idea. I literally thought about this morning when I was walking. The fact that Trevor, the only 3 albums he's ever heard front to back, intentionally, are Mad Villainy, Helplessness Blues, and Who Told You to Think, is like the warmest. It gives me the warmest feeling, and it's completely unfair to you, and I acknowledge that, and I'm a bad influence.
No,
But
you're
at the
not.
same time, no, I am, because that shouldn't be the first 3 albums that you hear in life. And I think anybody will say that, myself included. However, the fact that that is your triumvirate of first albums I've ever listened to front to back, it gives me like an incredibly like serious warm fuzzy feeling, because these obviously mean a lot to me personally. So the idea that someone could be exposed to those 3 as like their first intentional front to back listens brings me a lot of joy, even though it doesn't do the same for you, and I apologize for that. But I just wanted to say that.
I think it's a unique perspective on it, because like I don't listen to albums, so I'm going into these real deep, heavy, serious albums with no context whatsoever, and it's kind of, I don't know, interesting in a way.
Does it make you want to listen to more full albums of like artists you normally listen to single songs of?
Actually, kind of, yeah. I've been thinking about trying to like listen to some like my favorite like artists, like country artists or other
Good,
stuff.
you should.
And listen to some of their full albums.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I just cracked my fucking keyboard.
You're good.
I think Jacob too, although I don't want to speak for him, am very taken with the medium of album. I think that it's incredibly important to understand music in the context of what the artist wanted it to be in the context of, like singles are all well and good, but I think 99% of people who make music set out with the intention to make a body of work rather than a single, and to appreciate and to experience their music as it's meant to be appreciated and experienced is like super important to me. As a complete music nerd, and the fact that this, obviously relatively trying experience for you of being put through these like incredibly dense and not necessarily fun to listen to albums gives you the drive or desire to actually experience other albums. That's all I'm here for. Like, I love that. And it makes me very happy to hear that. It's a great question, Cobb. Cool. That's all I'll say.
Sweet. No, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like, I definitely love listening to albums, and I feel like it gives you an interesting perspective of like the story that they're trying to tell, depending on what album you're listening to. Like, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but like the first like bunch of times I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it was out of order. It was on a burned disc that my aunt gave me that for some reason wasn't in order. So the first so many times, like enough times to where like I knew like the order of that CD and I knew like a lot of the lyrics of the songs, I was listening to it out of order. So like it told me a completely different story to when I finally listened to it, like when Spotify became big and I started using Spotify instead of CDs. And I actually heard the album in the way it's supposed to be listened to. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot more sense, because honestly it sounded pretty jumbled before.
Wow, that's really crazy. I would love to, if you have that order still, I would love to know what the order was.
I might have it somewhere. But yeah, like even like the last track, where it's like the dude speaking, it's like not a song.
Yeah.
It's, I forget what it's called.
Lost in the World.
That was in the middle of the album.
Oh,
wow.
In the middle of the album. So yeah, it was pretty different. It was pretty jumbled up. But yeah, so what I thought of this album, I I liked it a lot. It took me a ton of listens to like really grasp. I still don't even think I really grasped it, but like to be able to understand the songs a little bit more and to get a feel for the album. I ended up actually listening to it 9 times.
Damn.
Yeah, my 9th was today before we recorded. A lot of the listens were pretty passive. I find the album a really easy album to listen to, especially passive. It reminds me of music I would have listened to in college. Like, it would have been the same exact shit that I was listening to when I was just listening to albums over and over and over again, like I was with Childish Gambino and like Tyler and a bunch of fucking other artists. But like, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. I also, one of the reasons why I listened to it so many times is because I really couldn't I was having a really, really difficult time putting a rating on it, which I was talking to Abby about when I was playing the album for her. Like, I just didn't know what to rate it. Like, I was I was like kind of confused by it. I was like, I really like it, and a lot of the tracks and like lines are getting stuck in my head. I love the references, but I don't know what to fucking rate this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that was the case, because like with the other stuff that you showed us with like Mad Villainy and with like Helplessness Blues, from the first listen I was able to give it a ballpark rating, and then it didn't move that much after the couple of times that I listened to those albums again. And then with this one, like, I didn't even put a number on it until my 9th listen. Like, I didn't even have a number in mind. I was like, I don't even know. That's why when Trevor, when you were messaging me earlier and was like, hey, we can do it whenever, and it was like 4 o'clock or whatever, and it was like an hour before we were starting or whatever, I was like, I can't. I need to listen to it again. I don't know what I'm going to rate it. I don't even know what my top tracks are.
Wow.
And I've already listened to it 8 fucking times, so...
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
All right.
What do you think, Will?
I got 4 listens in, just to say. I got 2 very passive, where I was playing video games while listening to it. 1 semi-passive, which was when I was driving. So I was kind of focusing onto it while driving. And then 1 where I just sat there and just was like, all right, let's go. And then I was like Googling certain lyrics every now and then, like that listen.
Yeah.
And like I was listening to my last one about the same time Jacob was, just before the podcast.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got a few in today as well.
I do want to say that our way of doing this is that we have like a guaranteed at least listening to it 3 times, and then the rest is like kind of up to us, whoever's showing the album. Yeah. Right. So far it's only Will, but that's like our rule.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Great. I'm glad. You both, I mean, enjoyed it to varying degrees, of course, but yeah. So this is kind of it's a weird one to talk about. I think, I mean, not weird to talk about, but it's weird for me to contextualize, because he is like I spoke incredibly reverently about Mad Villainy, and that's an album that I've obviously lived with for a very long time. This album is only a few years old, so it doesn't have the same lifespan personally for me, despite the fact that I listened to it the day it came out and have continued to listen to it since. Milo is a super important artist for me. There are days where I call him my favorite rapper. He's definitely like right up there with Kanye and MF Doom in terms of people who mean the most to me. He is a very acquired taste, I think. So I'm not surprised that he didn't quite hit for you, Trev. I'm also not surprised that he did hit for Cobb, but I am glad that he did, because I think it's super hit or miss. Like, especially for people who listen to a ton of hip hop, he even isn't necessarily like that the right flavor for a lot of people, in my experience. Speaking as someone who like lived on hip hop message boards for like the majority of my life up until the last few years, I would always try to plug Milo, and he would never quite gain traction, in like groups that were dedicated to talking about hip hop.
I find that kind of interesting from, at least, I mean, I haven't listened to any of his other work at this point, but like just off of this album, I find that interesting that people on a hip hop message board wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously people who do, and I think he has like an incredibly voracious fan base. of like generally like if you like him, it's like you really 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 like him. In my experience, at least, again, which is narrow. But yeah, I mean, I think I've mentioned it in the past. Like I was part of a Facebook hip hop group for like the better part of a decade. I was like an incredibly active member from when I was a sophomore in high school, like all the way through college and even a few years into my quote unquote adult life. And I wasn't necessarily familiar with him until the later years of my life. Like he hasn't been around obviously very long. I think he started being active in like 2012, 2013. I wasn't aware of him until after college. Right around the time he dropped his first like actual like official full length, which is called A Toothpaste Suburb. There's an EP that came out after that called Cavalcade, and that was the first one that really grabbed my attention. So this was like 2014 that I got into him, and I graduated college at the end of 2013. So yeah, even at that point, like I would really try to like plug him and talk about him with all like my internet homies who loved rap music, and only a few of them were like, yeah, this is really cool, and like connected with it at the level that I did. Anyway, he has been very important to me for the last probably 5 years. When I moved down to Florida, there are 2 albums that I pretty much played the entire time I drove down here. I drove down from New York and like did 3 stops. Like I stopped in Virginia to see my college roommates and stay with them for a weekend, and then I stopped again in Savannah, Georgia, and then I did the rest of the leg. So it was 3 days of driving, 8 hours a day, more or less. And the albums that I primarily listened to were So the Flies Don't Come, which is the Milo album that preceded this one from 2015, and Good AM by Mac Miller. And that was like my rotation. And that's like a huge deal. Like I was leaving my hometown to move to a new place where I knew nobody. So that's like, that's your classic like big life moment, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And Milo was like 50% of the soundtrack of that time of my life. So obviously he means a lot to me. So The Flies Don't Come is a wonderful album. But this one, I think, is a step above it. It is incredibly dense. Even as someone who was a fan going into it, it took me a long time to like get to the level that I'm at now. He is a very literary rapper. Like, there's no one else that I can think of off the top of my head that I have to like look up words when I'm listening to him to understand what they are, and as an English major and as someone who's read books his whole life, like that's a thing that I really appreciate. So yeah, he's an incredible guy in terms of being an artist, and he produced a lot of this album too, which was kind of like his first foray. Like he's made beats his whole career as far as I'm aware, but most of his albums were produced by a guy named Kenny Siegel, who is a wonderful producer, and he continues to work closely with him. But this was the first time that he made, I think, like 50% or more of the beats on the album. Yeah, I'm glad you guys pointed out the referentiality, if that's a word, or like how many references he makes, because he is an incredibly referential rapper.
Yeah, he makes a lot of references.
Like so many. And I really appreciate the variety of references. Like he was I think he was like a philosophy major in college. So there's like tons of references to philosophy scholarship that I don't know anything about.
But there's even one like that always stands out to me because I think it's funny and really random. It's like he says, catch a pass like Devin Funchess, which is like such a random wide receiver. It's like,
does he really? I don't even know that one.
It's like not even one that's like, oh yeah, he's like top 5 in the league. It's like so fucking random.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like he prides himself on making his listeners look up the references that he's making, because there are so many. And we'll get into it more as we break down track by track, which in the interest of breaking the fourth wall, we have stepped away from doing movies chronologically, but we agreed that in the context of music, it kind of makes sense to keep like a loose chronological structure of like track 1 through X. We will not hold ourselves to that. If the conversation takes other turns, we won't stifle them. And we also won't like force ourselves to talk about a song that none of us have anything to say about it. But I think it does make sense to at least give ourselves a loose framework. Whereas with movies, we've completely gone off the rails. And I think we're the better for it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
We won't be as free flowing with this one unless we become free flowing.
Anyway,
I
feel like
yeah,
that,
so
for sure.
yeah, it happens, and it has because I am rambling a lot, and I've already had a lot of the real estate for this album. So anyway, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a personal classic. I love it very much. There are songs that make me sad. There are songs that make me feel triumphant. There are songs that when I'm feeling down, I can throw on, and they will immediately improve my mood on this album. I do think it takes a number of listens to let it click. He is dense in a way that MF Doom is not, in that Doom is kind of like rapping at you through a cloud of smoke, whereas I think Milo is like rapping at you from atop a stack of books in a library, you know? And you like kind of have to like let the words coast down to you. If I could be a little verbose and metaphorical. I love it. I'm glad you guys have listened to it. I'm excited to talk about it. That's, I guess, all I will limit myself to in my review section. 10 out of 10, personal classic. Love it deeply. I'm glad it's a part of my life and has been for 3 years now. So let's jump into it, unless you guys have any other lingering thoughts.
No, I'm ready to drop our best or favorite tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
Trev, go ahead.
Let's
What's
do
your
it.
favorite tracks on an album you gave a 5.5 to?
I wonder if I should
I'm
have
not
gone
trying
lower,
to hate.
too.
I'm
hate
just
to
saying.
think-
I'm just saying it would probably be difficult to find favorite tracks off the album. You did
I
a
liked.
freaking album.
I guess my number one would be I don't know. It was kind of fun.
Whoa. Cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Like it was goofy and weird.
Because I don't know.
I guess second would be landscaping, the second track. I
Nice.
kind of liked the trying to mimic God by mimicking our sound and
Y'all
like
was
the distortion.
Yeah.
Imitating God, yeah. And I was like, that's kind of cool. The distortion with that was neat. And then I guess if I had to pick a third, I'm just gonna pick the first track because it's got the Jazargo reference in it, which I got. I liked
That's
that.
a great track.
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
riff.
I guess like I didn't really pick a third to be fair, but then I'm like looking through, I'm like, what would it be? And it's like Jazargo, I guess. Skyrim, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
That's a solid top.
Oh, right. That is a fucking Skyrim reference.
Yeah, it's a Skyrim.
Yeah.
I actually-
Zargo and Winterhold.
I had to look it up because I was like,
now.
that sounds so familiar. What is he talking about? And I looked it up and I'm
so
like,
funny.
oh, damn. That's
I mean, it
just
makes
like-
sense. This album came out in 2017. That was a few years after Skyrim. Still, shit was still popping off.
Skyrim's never going to not be like
What
a
was Skyrim,
reference.
like 2013, I think?
2011.
2011?
It was, wasn't
Holy
it? I thought it was
don't
because
know,
it was
maybe.
11/11/11 was like the
It
release date.
definitely
That was-
might have been. That sounds right.
Didn't it get pushed back, though? I think might have gotten pushed back, because I definitely played it in college when I lived at a specific house, which I think I didn't live in until 2012. But it's like at least 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
comes
I-
out on everything.
That makes
So-
sense though, because I remember my what would have been junior year of high school. I think one of my friends tried to bring it in on like a external hard drive and download it on one of the computers at school. Didn't work. Couldn't run it. But it couldn't run it. But
it was
but it was a
November-
great try. I remember he popped up the intro when you're like on the cart, and it was like one frame every minute.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It did come
Was it
out
November 2011?
November 11th, 2011. So 11,
That's
11,
tight as
11.
fuck.
Right on. My top songs. I don't have it really solidified, man. Okay. So on my 9th listen, just the one I did right before this, like I was saying, I was trying to write down my top songs. I ended up writing down almost every single song. Like,
Oh my god.
so, but I did rank them. I did. It's loose. It's very loose. But
Yeah.
So I'll put number 1 as Sorcerer, number 2 as Yet Another, and number 3 as Landscaping. But I will say I really enjoy like these. In the album, I kind of found like 3-track arcs that, at least for me, they were like 3-track arcs where like I was like, man, I really love those fucking 3 songs in a row, and then there'll be like a song that I think is like pretty good, but like doesn't really. It's like kind of a break, and then like there'll be 3 more songs where I'm like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to rank top 3 songs when I'm liking all these songs together, you know, as they're playing.
Pick your favorite bundle, I guess.
Yeah, but that's where I ranked them.
Cool. Yeah, that's I identify with that because even as I've had this album in my life consistently for 3 years, it's I rarely put it on and don't listen to the whole thing front to back. I think it's an exquisitely sequenced album. I think it is like it flows really well together. It is incredible. Like Cobb mentioned in his review, it's really easy to listen to passively. Like there aren't any songs that you're like, oh, let me skip this one real quick. For the most part, obviously, you know that your mileage may vary, but even now there are songs that I don't know the name of because I so frequently listen to it. I just started at Poet and I run it all the way through until it starts auto playing something else. That said, I do, of course, have a top 3. Sorcerer is far and away number 1 for me as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that. So that's the song that if I am feeling shitty, that will make me feel triumphant 10 times out of 10. Like that, like I won't. I was about to start quoting it. I won't until we get to it because I also, Abby, this is for you. I'm metagaming, but I have held myself to only a quote or 2 for only a few songs. I'm not gonna do a Mad Villainy where I start rapping entire verses.
That was great though.
It was
yeah,
hilarious.
but I don't want to give her extra editing work, and I'm also not as drunk as I was at that point. So
Getting there, working on it.
No, I'm not working on it. I'm not working to the point where I'm gonna make her have extra work. So, I won't quote that song until we get to it. But Sorcerer number 1, Landscaping number 2. Shout out to you, Trev.
Hey.
A wonderful song. And then honestly,
What do you mean? That was my number 3 too. Come on.
Oh, you had it too? Okay, shout out to both of you.
It was my number 3.
Those are like the
hey,
two. Those are the two that they're pretty much the only 2 that I will listen to outside of the context of the entire album. Like those are the 2 that I have on like my car playlist that I think hold up equally as well standalone as they do in the context. I'm also big on Call and Form. I'm big on Magician.
Call Form was my 4. That was tough.
Yeah, Call Form is really good. And I think Magician is great too. That was the first single. Cool. Yeah, solid top 3s all around. All right, so we'll jump into a loose track by track. I think we'll veer around as needed. But track 1 is Poet parenthetical Black Bean. The album opens with a quote from James Baldwin, who I recently read for the first time. I just read The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. So that was pretty cool. I think it's really interesting and compelling. Not only opening to an album, but it's a cool passage, I guess, from.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like from. A lot of the time when sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was good.
A lot of the time when like rap albums will start with like either it's a lot of the time not just a rap verse. It'll be like a sample from something, or like this where it's like a speech or like a whatever it may be. A lot of the time I end up skipping them because they're not that good, or I don't feel like I need to listen to it every single time I listen to the album. like, or it's just like sound, like in Channel Orange. I don't listen to the first track. I don't even know what it's called. It's not a song.
Yeah, agree.
But like with this one, I'm like, man, that's a fucking great song and a really, really, really great sample. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so well made. Like, I respect the hell out of you, Trevor, for putting it on your top 3. Like, I wanted to fit it in mine. But like I was saying, I couldn't fit everything in.
I didn't fit it in my top 3 for any real good artistic reasons. It was just because Skyrim. That was the only.
You should have just accepted it, Trevor.
That's fine though. That's fine.
I'm not gonna try and front. Like
no, I know.
Yeah, like I.
Regardless, though,
I understood like a lot of the lyrics for a lot of these songs, and then Poet as well. Like I got that there was a message, but the message didn't, I guess, hit me specifically. Maybe, I don't know. Like I was like, and I appreciate this guy and his references and his ability to like seamlessly work them in, except for one song, which when we get to it, I'll talk about it.
Ooh, teaser.
But like, yeah, no, I liked Poet. It was good. It was interesting. It was. I think I kind of understood the message about like poets are the ones that like kind of know what's going on and stuff like that, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a quick shout out. James Baldwin is obviously he's gotten a decent amount of bump from the social awareness that's been happening since George Floyd's murder. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of really incredible and compelling writing about being black in America. Obviously, he's an incredibly intelligent guy, and this. I mean, I've loved this forever, and like Cobb said, I've never skipped this intro. I didn't know it was James Baldwin until recently, so it's cool to kind of get that like come around of realization that I've been listening to him talk about being a poet for the last few years. But yeah, I can't recommend The Fire Next Time enough. It's a really unbelievable essay. But anyway, that's my little PC piece. But this song, I think, is a really good example of Milo's referential style. This is like a very short song. It's almost entirely intro and outro. I think it's like probably a 16-bar verse. I mean, I could count it right now, but I don't. I think maybe a 24. It's a 24-bar verse, and he fits 7 references that I am aware of or can identify as a reference into those 24 bars. And I'm not going to do this on every track. I'm only going to do it for this one. But real quick, Gayeth Matar is dead is the first line, right? Gayeth Matar was a Syrian activist. He was murdered. That's the first opening line. He then mentions, references Ultima Forever, which I guess is a free MMORPG. The Welcome Back Avatar is a reference to that.
What?
Okay, I feel like I've heard of Ultima Forever.
Yeah, so apparently, and this is all the things I'm about to say are based off of the Genius page for this song, so mileage may vary on how accurate they are, but generally those are pretty solid annotations. So yeah, Welcome Back Avatar was the Ultima Forever homepage. That's what it used to greet you whenever you logged in. It said Welcome Back Avatar. Mev Levy is a reference to the Islamic Sufi order, commonly known as the Whirling Dervishes. So that's like, I guess, a religious reference. And he mentions Mev Levy whirling while I'm boiling a pacifier, a reference to his kid. The aforementioned Jazargo in Winterhold Skyrim reference. He then mentions Fargo, which of course is a movie, a TV show, and an actual place. Unknown what his actual reference was there, but he has spent time in the Midwest, so it's something. Then he mentions Dirk Diggler, who is Mark Wahlberg's character in Boogie Nights.
Great reference. That's the one
reference
that I understood from it. That was the one that I wrote down. I was like, fuck yeah, Dirk Diggler, homie.
Yeah, fantastic. He says, back on my Black Bukowski bullshit, which is a reference to Charles Bukowski, who is an underground poet who resided in L.A. and known for bleak misanthropic depiction of American society. whatever. So like right there in like this quick, I mean, this is maybe 40 seconds of rapping, and then his references span defunct MMORPGs, this is like underground beat poets, TV shows and movies, Syrian activists. Like it's just, it's a really
It's
good.
all over the place.
It's all over the place, and it's a really good encapsulation, I think, of his style, at least in terms of references. Like throughout the album, they're everywhere. I mean, like Cobb mentioned that wide receiver pull that I've never even heard of. I didn't even know it was a reference. So like, you know, it's really cool, and it's the type of thing that I don't necessarily listen to rap music to like have to go and Google stuff, but it is kind of cool when you do feel like you have to.
There's a couple of things in this where I was like, I gotta look it up, because either I thought I would. The Skyrim, I did have to look it up just because it was itching me so much. I was like, Jazargo, and what? I know that. What do I know that from? Is what I was struggling with, and then I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I had to look up a few things though for this, because geez, man, his references are wild and all over the place.
Yeah,
and
I feel
dig
like
it.
It's like an unreal amount. Like, how do you even go about to writing that verse? Like, like honestly, how do you go about writing it? Like, how are you thinking of these things? Because it all flows together. So like, how are you thinking of these things that are coming out of complete left field? It's just it's so insane because it doesn't follow one single theme or anything.
It's like a state of mind, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like you just have all this
like
information in your head and you're just able to piece it all together somehow, which is insanity.
Yeah. It's really incredible.
A lot of respect.
I bet he's great at trivia.
You know what? You're right.
Sure. He probably is.
Dude, I want to go toe-to-toe with him at Nickelodeon Scene It. Fucking, let's go.
Damn. Yeah. Cobb just wiped the floor with me and Riss and Nickelodeon Scene It. That's why
I whooped him,
he
bro.
Wants to boast.
10 minutes!
God.
That was a good run.
Yeah,
My best run so far. That was a speed run.
Yeah, I mean, you slapped us both. It was embarrassing.
You did beat me at normal Scene It, though, which was a true head-to-head.
That was a great round.
Yeah. Came down to the final question.
So I think that's a good, quick snapshot of like what you're gonna get with him, and it shouldn't go without saying that, like, obviously there's 24 bars, and we just pointed out 7 references, so there's other stuff in this verse as well, and like Cobb mentioned, it flows incredibly well. It all fits in. It doesn't seem like he's just saying stuff to say it, and I think that goes throughout the album too.
I think
cool.
Pretty much we can't talk about every reference in every song because we would be here literally for days. Like
No,
we're gonna
and that's
hit
why
what we recognized and what we can, and then have to keep going because Jesus, this dude is insane.
I know, and I did. That's why I wanted to make the point that I'm only going to do this for the one song because A, it's a short song, B, it's packed of references, C, it's the first song, and like you know what you're getting at this point. And no, we couldn't possibly. It's already longer than I thought it would be this episode, and we would be here forever if we continue to do this.
We had a long intro already.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking a lot.
It's all good, man.
All right, cool.
You're passionate.
Track 2, landscaping.
Landscaping's cool. It's got that cool distortion. It's a nice little.
He does the distortion thing a few times on some other.
He does,
tracks.
but this one I feel like it was the most prominent.
Yeah.
And he references Courage the Cowardly Dog in this song.
That is also a great reference. Oh, Maestro. Will just showed us on Discord. He's got Maestro in his hands.
Oh, baby boy.
What a nice boy. And I've got Pip behind me sleeping in a basket.
I've got anime posters behind me.
I don't know where's Piper. Piper's not hanging out with you?
Where the fuck is
Piper's
Piper?
outside probably. She's probably outside playing. Probably getting a ball thrown or something.
Right on.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, landscaping is a
great Courage
great
reference.
I had y'all was imitating God trying to mimic our sound stuck in my head probably for a day and a half. Maybe longer.
That is definitely the line that stuck with me the most.
It was one of the lines.
Album.
Abby's nodding her head right now. It was one of the lines that I kept saying, and she's like, "What are you saying?" And I was like, "It's from the album we're listening to. I have it stuck in my head."
Yeah.
I was
That's
like
like-
hanging pictures on our wall for us, and I just kept saying it. I was imitating God, trying to mimic our sound.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he does also repeat it like a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's
But-
hypnotizing.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I earmarked for myself that I would drop a few lines again because it's one of my favorites. The first line, "What's a selfie? That's not me. That's my chulachaki." So that's one of those ones you have to look up, right? I don't know what
Love
the
it.
fuck a chulachaki is.
Don't know what it means, but the flow is
It's
excellent.
a mythical Amazonian forest creature.
Huh?
And it's said that it can turn into any animal that dwells in the forest or even humans to persuade people into following it deep into the forest and finally getting lost. So
Like a siren.
like a siren, and obviously
It's a shapeshifter.
I'm not gonna dive into the potential meanings of that
Wait, isn't
bar.
that your D&D character, Will?
Yeah, I'm a Chulachaki.
There
But,
is a
it's like-
shapeshifter character, to be fair, but
Yeah, no, not me. And to rhyme Chulachaki with Chachki is just like, I mean,
I
dude
liked
is an
the Chachki
exceptional
line.
He's an exceptional rapper.
I really love
I
that
love-
word. I learned it from a person that grew up in New York. I don't know if it's a New Yorker thing, but or like a Midwest thing or whatever it is, but like that's where I heard the word from, and now I say it all the time just for like random things. Tchotchke is such a funny word.
Yeah. Yeah, I
tchotchke,
mean, it
that's
is. It
Yeah,
is.
'cause it's just like little. It's like little random things
Yiddish.
that you like keep around.
yeah, no, I know what it
tchotchke.
is. It's just funny that's what you like.
Yeah.
That's the
I
word
liked
you're
that one.
latched onto.
Yeah, I
huh?
liked it.
It's a good word. It is Yiddish in origin, so I mean, it's obviously not every single Jewish person lives in New York, but New York has a significant Jewish demographic. So yeah, I mean that makes sense.
The
That's
New
why
Yorker I
I
was
know
talking
it
about is
too.
not Jewish.
Fair. Yeah, this song is a banger. I love Elucid's verse. He's the featured rapper on this one. The second verse. He has like an incredibly emotional appearance. I love Wild Things Wildly. I love Quiet Things Quietly. I think is an amazing opening bar. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that Milo at the end of his verse says, "You reminded me of how a parrot talks in stages, like the words don't belong to you, just mimicking sounds." And that jumps into what Cobb was just quoting. But he has like bird calls in the background of the beat, which I thought goes very well with it. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones that I could quote for a straight 3 minutes, that I won't do.
Yeah,
But banger.
I will say this was a part of the 3-track beginning of like what I had a hard time differentiating from was Landscaping, Call, Form, and then Magician. I felt like they
Yeah.
all flowed together so hard for me. It was like difficult for me to be like, I like this one more than the other one. So like really Landscaping being at number 3 was really just because of that verse and like a few of the references. But like really the other songs are just as good in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
So I guess move on to Call Form.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, I feel like we're gonna shackle ourselves by doing track by track, and it already feels like it's gonna make the episode too long. So I kind of,
We're already at like 40. We're about to hit 45 minutes already, and we're not even.
and we're
3
already on
songs
track
in.
3. I'm gonna audible if I get the approval of the two of you. I don't think we should go through
Denied.
the entire thing because it'll make it way too loud, way too long.
Yeah, I
fine.
can be fine with that. I do want to talk about
so-
Call Form a little bit though.
Yeah, I'm happy to just like let y'all talk about the songs that you have notes for, and I can fill in as necessary. But I think I'm gonna be too enthusiastic. I think would be a nice way of putting it about the
It's
album.
okay, man.
If we don't,
I do want to say that it's nothing really specific about this song, but I wrote it down underneath it because I guess this is what I was thinking about. So during my listen when I was, I think I was cooking with headphones on.
great mood.
This is when I was trying to figure out what sort of like music or rapper he reminds me of, because I really like to, I know I did it with the other ones that you gave me where I was always trying to like figure out what they sound like I did it for Helplessness Blues and I said they sounded like, I think I said Mumford and Sons and Lumineers, and you got mad at me. So I was really trying to pinpoint what was any sort of similar, and the only two things I came up with was Childish Gambino and Kid Cudi. Not similar at all. Kid Cudi from just the mellowness of the album, not for any sort of similarity in rapping style or themes at all. And then for Childish Gambino, just for like, he reminds me of like that similar type of like new age rapper where like there's a lot of references and like born on the internet type of stuff. That's where I got my similarities from. I don't know if those similarities piss you off, Will, like I did with Helplessness Blues, or
I hope they
no, they don't. I mean, piss me off, I don't think would be fair. I don't agree, but I respect and understand where you're coming from in your explanations. But I think that Milo is like far beyond both of them artistically, which may or may not be a controversial take, but I think he's much better of a rapper than Gambino, and I think that he is. I mean, actually, no, he's not as melodically in tuned as Cudi. Cudi is an incredible musician in terms of melody, so that one I agree with. Yeah, no, they don't piss me off. Not like Lumineers to Fleet Foxes. And that's the thing too.
I
like,
still think
that's
they were D's.
that's
So for
the
me,
joy.
for me with this song, like my big thing was like some of the like the gaming references, like the where he put his stats into and stuff. That's kind of like a tabletop feel to that, which with the D&D stuff that we're talking about, I kind of have that on the brain.
Yeah.
A lot of questioning of the rap industry, which I feel like was an overarching plot of like this whole album, was he like talks about like the rap industry as a whole being too much of like a bunch of sellouts or something. And then the toe tag thing, I assume, was talking about him being dead.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to stop like the toe tag me. It's not until I'm dead or whatever. Like that's all right. That's kind of it for me with that. It was cool.
yeah, I do love the why is your favorite rap bro is babbling about his brand again.
That
like he just mentioned, which is great. He name drops Thelonious Monk, which is wonderful for me as a jazz guy. He does mention packet loss and latencies, classic internet talk. I also love the chorus. I mean, this album is pretty starved of choruses. He's not a big chorus guy. Usually it's just like one phrase repeated over and over, but you shouldn't be next to me with that finicky energy, I think is a pretty great chorus.
That's a cool line.
That phrase. The one line I would point out is, it's October, so I'm reading Nabokov again. He's just like very masterful at painting a mood, I think. And like mentioning that he gravitates towards a certain author at a certain time of the year. Is a thing I relate to. I used to be like a big jazz guy in January, so I hit that.
Interesting.
That's all I have.
And then
for that song,
I don't mean to skip a track over Magician, but can we talk about how Young Man is the best feature on the album?
Young Man is
I had nothing for Magician, so I'm fine with kind of.
Can we
skipping
talk about
it.
how that's absolutely best feature on the album? That shit was.
I love
hilarious.
His vocabulary is what's paying his rent line.
Oh, it's the fucking.
That's a great
best
line.
Of the album.
Like that
best
was one of my
album.
favorite lines in the whole thing. To be fair,
that is Milo, not Young Man. But real quick, it's
still a good
Magician.
line.
I have one line from Magician, and it goes into what I was just saying about painting a picture. And then we can go right into Young Man, because I agree that he was wonderful. But in Magician, speaking of painting a picture, he has a line that says, "Gawking at the pasture as I pen this, it hails the howitzer in the garden of my mind." I just think it's like very evocative imagery. But that's all I have. So yeah, Young Man. Go ahead, Cobb.
I just thought his voice was great. Like, and the way he said stuff where it was like, he was just taking his fucking sweet time with his verse, like.
Yeah,
And
he's
it was
got a
just
lot
such
of like super weirdo.
It was so silly.
homies.
It's just like.
Yeah,
I just really loved it. I just think
he's great.
it like puts a smile on my face when I hear it. Like.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like opening line, "I regret to inform you of your imminent demise" is just like a great,
Also a great line.
way to start a verse. You know, yeah. I agree.
This is the one
Young
that
Man
also
was
has
awesome.
the This is also the one I think it's got the line that's "Nice life you got. It'd be shame if something happened to it." Right?
Yeah.
Shame
Yeah.
something happened to it.
I like that. I love
Yeah.
that line.
He
That's
puts
a
a
good
very
line.
Italian spin on that verse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get for me, like, I mean, if we're just gonna jump away from stuff, I just want to start talking about the weird shit that I figured out like listening to this album.
Go
Yeah,
for
let's
it,
do
We're
it.
just
brother.
not going song wise. Friggin', I learned what the hell Yagweh was because of this friggin' album. The hallucinogenic plant that leopards friggin' will eat sometimes that the native tribes will use in their rituals. I was like,
What the fuck?
I'm Googling this like while I'm like listening. I'm like, what am I doing right now? What a pull. What a weird
Like a-
pull. Because
What
like,
is it? Like a jaguar eating Yagweh or something like that?
yeah, it's like a reference from a not super popular BBC nature documentary where like a leopard is like eating like leopards I guess will just eat plants as like to like balance out their digestive systems or whatever. And he happened to eat some of the Yagweh, which is a hallucinogenic one, and it's just like being real like a kitten. Like just messing around, rubbing its face, doing all this stuff because it's tripping balls.
like
And I'm like, what
cactus
is-
juice from Avatar.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what am I doing right now? What am I looking up and watching because
Yeah.
of this album? Like, just like that was the main takeaway I had from this was that I looked up some weird stuff for this album.
Yeah, and I think that's
am curious though that sort
Go,
of
Kyle.
sorry that sort of stuff where you found it interesting and wanted to look stuff up didn't make you like it more than Mad Villainy.
Nah, because I feel like I remember certain songs maybe in Mad Villainy that I might ever think about listening to again.
I mean, that's
And
fair.
I-
There's probably catchier tracks on Mad Villainy than there are.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, I
on
like
this
I
one.
like stuff that's more like I guess it's kind of basic, but like catchier and
No,
like
I get it.
fun,
I just-
fun to listen to in a way. Like,
just wanna know
this
where your
had
head
some
was at.
dope verses and stuff. Like the very last song with Blade Runner. I never thought of Blade Runner as an idyllic film. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, right?
that's a powerful line, honestly, because that's a dystopia. And
Yeah.
like I get it though. Like there's some of these dystopias where we're like, would that really be so bad? Like
Yeah.
would that be so bad in comparison to where we're at right now? Like because we got all the
Yeah.
bad of that dystopia already, but without any of the cool shit. So it's
Right.
like that's a
I
cool
do-
line. Like
I do want to say before we move a little bit too far away from where we were just at, you talking about your like what you like
Yeah.
in music. I feel like I like this stuff more, where it's like stuff where that I can like vibe to and just like listen to passively more than things that where I'm like I want to listen to like a specific song where it's like more of like me liking a poppiness to a song more than melodic nature and like just being able to chill out.
I don't know, like, what-
music, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like whenever I listen to music, I put on an album that I can listen to the whole thing on, and I don't really have to pay attention to it. But whenever certain ebbs and flows come on, I'm like really interested, and like I'm not looking for one single track. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
Yeah.
do. For me, it's. I feel like I have to listen to this song like when it's on because of all the lyrics. For me, like if I like when I was back when I used to listen to music when I studied for school stuff, I could not put anything with lyrics on. I had to do either instrumental or like the lo-fi hip hop kind of thing, where it's
Yeah,
like there's
I'm
no
the same
one
way.
singing. It's just music. It's just instruments because I will get sucked into the lyrics. Other than that, like if I'm just want something on in the background, I'm fine with like country music because I've heard most of the songs before. And not to say that some country songs don't have like a deeper meaning, but like they don't have them as obscured as some of these songs do.
There's got to
Like
be
the-
some country music that has deeper
Obscure?
meaning to
No,
it,
they
right?
they definitely do. There's plenty of them. It's just I feel like the deeper meaning to country songs is like here, like, sorry for audio listeners, I'm doing like a thing with my hands over video, but like it's about here, and then these songs it's like off the screen, like way down here, in terms of like the obscurity and the like you got to think about it to get to it, kind of, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just I know I couldn't put this on in the background because I would be like, what? I'd be like trying to listen, like, what is he trying to say? Like, even trying to like have this on in the background while I'm playing video games, I'm either not paying attention to what I'm playing and completely listening, or I've gone past 3 songs and I don't even remember them going by. Like, it's just gone. I'm not even like, it's not even a present thing in my mind. So I don't know, like if I'm listening to stuff, I like put on stuff that I've already listened to if I'm listening to music in the background, because then I know I don't have to pay attention to it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right
I guess.
No, I get you. I mean, when
there's too much in this for me to for this to be a passive background thing easily.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think there's an interesting parallel to be drawn between, I mean, just for the sake of this podcast, this album and Mad Villainy, because Milo, generally speaking, wouldn't exist as a rapper without MF Doom. But I think the specific levels of referentiality between the two of them are cool to contrast, and I've never thought about it until hearing you mention that, Trev. Because, like, Mad Villainy came out in 2004 when the internet was in its infancy and wasn't an everyday thing for someone in their 20s or 30s, right? Like Doom was. So the references he's making are, you know, deep cuts for us, but they're not stuff that you necessarily would have found on a YouTube video when you're sitting there for 3 hours in the middle of the night trawling down a rabbit hole. Whereas the stuff that Milo is referencing is very much of the internet, in that there's no possible way that he's actually sat and watched every documentary, played every video game, watched every football season, read every book that he references. You know, it's just like a nature of the internet, of this like constant intake of information.
It's like a Wikipedia rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like when you go on Wikipedia and you start clicking on links. Like I've been there and randomly in a morning when I'm listening to music or a podcast or a Twitch stream, and I end up having like 10 or 15 Wikipedia tabs open because I've fucking lost my mind. Like, you just do it. It's just the age that we're in.
I will say with like some of his references though, what I mentioned earlier about wanting to talk about one of the things I didn't like, the references. Was in the last in the last song, the Pokemon Go thing. To me, I was just like, the moment that hit, I was like, nah, that was a bit much, honestly, in my opinion. It was just like, it didn't seem to have a ton of context to support it, and it was almost just like, get that buzzword out. Like, I don't think this guy would be that type of person to do something like that, you know what I mean? But to me, it just
still
felt
hot then.
It was. It just felt weird. It felt weirdly out of place in my mind. He was like, just because he said it so many times, and it was just like, I don't know. It felt weird to me.
Right on.
The rest of the references I thought were awesome. A lot of his like historical stuff was cool, but just that's the one that bugged me. And like even in the same song though, he had I got these peaches from Ganymede,
nectarines
or whatever. The nectarines from Ganymede, and it's like, that's a Greek cupbearer, like for the gods, and I was like, damn, what a pull.
Isn't Ganymede also a planet in Cowboy Bebop though?
It might be. Because I knew I recognized it from somewhere, and I was big into Greek mythology for a while in my life.
Right on.
Percy
sad
Jackson.
I missed that point in your life.
That was like Percy Jackson era, man, because I loved those books, so I was
Harry
like
Potter
deep into
fanfic.
that stuff. That, and I think it is like a sci-fi reference thing too, but like I thought that was pretty cool because he brought like food and wine to the gods and kind of against his own will. So I thought that was kind of an interesting pull.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, yeah, and it's also
my last thing. Oh, sorry. Go. What's up?
No. Go, Trev.
No, you go. Because I was going to something else entirely.
I was just going to say that Ganymede could also be a reference to it's a particular planet in Cowboy Bebop. So it's like,
Oh, it is.
it's that
Okay.
thing where like you wouldn't know, like we can't say for sure whether he's referencing the Greek god, which does make sense, but it is also one of the like the more wealthy and developed planets in Cowboy Bebop. So like that could just be like a cool flex. Like I got these nectarines from Ganymede, you know. So it's like that's the kind of thing where it's just it's that's the type of referentiality that I love in any medium.
No,
Sorry,
I'd
go
believe
ahead,
that.
Sean.
No, 100%. And then my last thing I really wanted to hit on, because like I didn't have a ton of notes and stuff, was the oh god, which song was it? I'm trying to look through my notes real quick. Note to Miss, right? Mrs.
Note to Mrs. Yeah.
The Running to Freedom thing. Don't stop running if you don't see me, or whatever the line was. I feel bad. I can't remember the exact. I thought that was a really. I kind of liked that. It felt very dreamy, and also like the To me, it felt like a reference to like escaping slaves and stuff. Whenever they would run away, it's like, if you don't see me, just keep running, just never stop, kind of situation. Like you'd see like in some of those movies about that era, or like the actual stories you would hear. It's like, just keep running. And I thought that was a really, I really liked the feeling that song did give off.
Yeah,
and
that's a beautiful
pretty much
song.
everything I have to talk about for this album.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I do. That's a great shout out. I do love Note to Mrs. It's obviously not one that jumps out, because it's not like one where he's rapping furiously or referencing stuff in a cool way. It's just like a really nice, moody, tone poem. Feels reductive almost, but at the same time, like it does feel a lot more like spoken word than actual rap music.
For sure.
Yeah, I love that one too. It's one that has grown on me a lot over the years. I could reference particular lines all day, which I won't do because I know that doesn't make good podcasting. Do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on, Cobb?
No, not really. I mean, I honestly, I don't have a ton of notes, even though I have like two pages, basically a front and a back worth of things written down.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of it is like things that need to be thoroughly discussed, and really a lot of it's our stuff we've already touched on. But I really just want to say that it is a fantastic album, in my opinion. I will continue to listen to this album. I don't know if I said that for the other ones. I probably did, but this one will definitely enter my rotation like as an album rather than just particular songs, because like the other ones I added specific songs to specific playlists that I have on Spotify, but like this one is like one of them that like while I'm playing like a video game that I don't need to listen to, I'm going to be listening to this album for a long time, and I'll probably appreciate it more and more as time goes on, like Will was saying, and like how I was saying with how I've already listened to it fucking 9 times within like a week span.
That's so many times. I
liked it, and didn't feel like any of those times I was dragging myself through it just to listen to the song for the to listen to the album for the podcast. I was doing it because I wanted to. I wanted to listen to the album.
And that's nice.
So yeah, I recommend you guys checking it out, 100%. Especially if you like this type of rap that we've been describing during the podcast. This is really type of rap that just references shit, and it's very melodic.
Yeah.
And like one day maybe we'll get an album that I actually am not going to be an asshole about, but you
weren't an asshole at all, Trevor.
Not at all.
You don't need to think that. You don't.
I'm an asshole when it comes to your anime. You are always incredibly respectful when it comes to my rap music. So
almost too respectful, Trevor.
I mean, like I said, like all the rest of the songs like that I kind of just didn't talk about. I just was like one of them I didn't even put a single note, and one of the other ones I think Magician.
Oh right, what song was that?
Not sure.
What song was that? Because you wouldn't tell me.
Paging Mr. Bill. I put literally nothing. I put no notes because I just was like,
that's a great track. That was in contention for me.
I don't know,
what is it,
man.
Paging Mr. Bill Nunn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was during a 3-track block where I was like, that shit's tight. It was that and Sorcerer, and then Take Adventure of the Naysayer, or Advantage of the Naysayer.
Literally no notes for that one. I don't even remember how that one went. Just
I mean, to be fair,
I didn't hate the
everything
album. It was
flows.
just
It's like-
it's not what I listened to. Like,
Yeah.
and I will say that this is kind of a weird off reference. Listening to these albums has made me appreciate rap a little bit more. I listen to a lot of the League of Legends songs, honestly, because they're like very up there. But they have a rap song that I hated when it first came out, and then I went back and listened to it recently, and I was like, "Damn, this is actually really good." And I actually am like adding it to a playlist now. So I'm like,
aren't all those songs like K-pop?
no, they all are different genres actually,
Right on.
more or less. They are putting out an EP for KDA. The
KDA's
band.
classic.
They're putting out an EP for that whole a whole album, so that'll be kind of cool coming up. But it was a song called Giants, and it was just like I hated it when it first came out. I was like, this isn't my thing. And now I'm like digging it. So I think you are expanding my horizons.
Right on.
Just-
Fuck yeah, Trev.
That's
Just
all
these
I'm
are
here
still
for,
real.
man.
These are real deep cuts, like in terms
Yeah.
of like.
Well, these are
stuff, and
very,
I'm like,
these are very far down the rabbit hole from League of Legends rap. So,
No,
if
I know, that's
if
why
I
I'm
can
like-
drag you down, if I could drag you,
They're just
a little bit
rapping
closer
about
to
going
that.
down mid.
Huh? But I don't know. I dug it. It was like I don't know. Like I really witnessed myself going, okay, I'm appreciating stuff more. Like how hard it is and how, because I do appreciate these guys' ability to like both Milo and MF Doom like crafting the raps themselves.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's fucking tough.
That's I could never. I don't think I could ever do that. I could maybe get one song if you gave me like 3 years, maybe,
And even
No,
then,
I'd
probably
do
not,
that.
because I
and it
could
probably
never-
wouldn't be good. And no, it would just be like the close, like some horrible stuff. So like, I appreciate these guys and their abilities. It's just it's not what my ears do not appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But-
I will.
Yeah.
I will close before we say our goodbyes with the shout outs to my 3 favorite words on this album. Words that I did not know before that I now know. Celerity, alacrity, and weltschmerz. Not going to say what they are. Great words, great lines on the
No,
album.
please tell us what they are, because
No, I'm not going to.
confused.
I'm going to.
Oh.
No, dude, that's for you. It's for
Yeah,
you to
that's for
continue
you.
your rabbit hole, Trevor.
Bingo. Cool. Any closing thoughts that y'all would like to share before I sign us off?
No,
Kind of already got mine out. So
Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, I hope
good.
you listen to the album. It's wonderful. I like it very much. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it and listened to it. I think that'll do it for today's episode. As I said up top, justice for Jacob Blake. Black Lives Matter. Shout out to Kenosha, Wisconsin. See y'all next time. Love you all.
Peace.